In today's episode of Guitar Gear 1, we'll be covering our very first Gibson guitar. It's a Les Paul Custom, but it's not going to be what you're expecting. It's called the Blood Moon. It was a limited release by Guitar Center, limited by 300 pieces. We got probably the very best one. Let's take a look at it. Forgive the dramaticism, but I wanted you guys to meet this thing the same way that I did. I saw a listing for this guitar in the Seattle area, and on a cold, rainy day, I drove up. There were only photos of the guitar in the ad. I did not see this case. And I don't know if you can see this, but this handle even is made out of figured mahogany. I thought it was maple at first, but the case for this guitar is solid machined aluminum. It weighs approximately 790 pounds. It's the heaviest case I've ever encountered in my life. It has these kind of interesting latches. I'm more struggling to do this on video than wrestling with the latches. They're incredibly simple to open, but they're really solid. They almost feel like a refrigerator sealing kind of a latch. So here's the guitar. Now, as promised, I think this is the best looking Blood Moon I've come across. And forgive all that glare. The majority of them that I see in videos and in photos do not really have a uniform figure in the maple top. This one is very, very well done. It's a nice book match. And there's a good amount of quilty figure to it. The other ones that I see are kind of blotchy. And to be honest, with the matte finish, they look more like $500 Schecters to me than, well, the kind of money that this kind of a guitar would command. So again, this is a Les Paul Custom. And Gibson has kind of, quote unquote, like murdered it out, if you will, to use a motorcycle term. Everything is darkened. The inlays are darkened. The headstock logo is darkened. Everything's subdued. There's a matte finish on the guitar, and I realize this lighting really may not be ideal, but I wanted you to see it warts and all, you know, so there's no possibility anything's hiding on you. And yes, it is a Les Paul Custom with an ebony fingerboard, despite the fact that it does not have block inlays. They went with trapezoid inlays for reasons unknown. But here's the other big reveal. Check this frickin' neck out. This is what made me jump out of my seat and go buy this thing. It's a Sunday afternoon. I was actually going to go buy a Harley, and I backed out of the deal. The bike was not in the shape it was supposed to be when I got there. I just happened to have cash. This guitar came up for sale on a Sunday afternoon, and I ran out and got this mother. So anyway, matte finish front and back. As you can clearly see, there's a nice little volute on the back, you know, so we got this taper. And then the last thing I'm going to really make a point to show you is that instead of having traditional triple binding, this has like a thick white binding. And honestly, I don't mind that even a little bit. It's kind of cool when you get up close to it. And then the last thing is, this guitar does not come with active EMG pickups. In fact, that was a major turnoff to me when I saw the guitar listed. It comes with 57 Classics when you get it, you know, stock from Guitar Center. So we're going to be dealing with entirely different electronics, and please just note that. So the thing is, I own like 5 single cuts right now, personal guitars. So I fell into the heritage thing a long time ago. My dad has a personal relationship with the guys there, long story. But I've never been a Gibson fanboy, quote unquote. And it's funny because I think Gibson is a lot like Harley, okay? Like you can't just take these companies at their word all the time, right? So like there's no shortage of people that'll tell you Gibson is the biggest ripoff on the face of the planet, buy something else, blah, 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 blah. Well, the thing about it is, it's true. I would not suggest walking into any guitar store anywhere or shopping around on eBay or Reverb or whatever and assuming any Les Paul from Gibson is necessarily going to be worth its salt, because they are not all worth their salt. In fact, there's year ranges to be very aware of. There are a multitude of reasons to watch other videos. Maybe I'll make one. But the point is, you never know what you're walking into. And a couple times in my life, I've had this happen. I had it happen with a 1980 Fender Stratocaster once. I had it happen with a brand new Gibson acoustic about 5 years ago. but every once in a while you pick up a guitar and you're like, God damn it, because it is magic. It really is. So why, if I own all these other single cuts, would I want this thing around? Why is it still here? So when we did the overview, I talked about the visual differences you'll be able to pick apart between this and other Les Paul Customs. What I didn't mention is that this thing has two things going for it, well, three at least, actually, that the other guys aren't. It has an asymmetrical neck. What does that mean? Well, it means that the carve on the neck is dissimilar from the bass side to the treble side. So it is not shaped the same way on both sides. This gives you this kind of natural ergonomic gripping effect. It's a little bit beefier on the bass side, so you can follow along with your thumb and play chords naturally. But then up in the top, strings where you're picking your higher notes, it's relieved, and you can pinch in a little bit easier. Your hand kind of naturally does that. It really works. The other thing is, it has what's called a compound radius fingerboard. If you don't know what that means, first of all, the radius of a fingerboard means the curvature of the fingerboard, okay? So that means how bent is the surface of the fingerboard, right? Or how flat is it, for that matter. So every Les Paul coming off the line until, modern times, they all had what was a 12-inch fingerboard radius. And I love that, okay? And even on like Eric Johnson's signature Fender Stratocasters have a 12-inch radius. There's definitely reasons to get a crush on that. But a compound radius, okay, that means the guitar fingerboard actually transitions from one radius to another, okay? So this one starts off 12, I believe, and goes to 16 inches. So what that means is as you ascend up the fingerboard flattens out. It's not quite as curved as you get higher. So that way you can kind of round your hand and make chords lower, in the register. And then as you move upward, the fingerboard flattens out to let you play, well, all your pyrotechnic rips a little bit easier. So it looks like a Les Paul. It doesn't feel like one. The third thing that's different is it is a weight relief body. Like, it feels like an SG or whatever comparison you want. But I mean, it is too light to be a Les Paul. The neck is too comfortable to be a Les Paul. The fingerboard's too quick to be a Les Paul. This neck is so ridiculous, I can't stop staring at it. So there's a lot going on in this thing that makes it modern. Moving on from there, I again want to remind you, these EMG active pickups are not what you'd be receiving if you had bought this guitar brand new. The previous owner chose to have these installed, and not that it matters to you, but he also reversed the pickup selector switch, right? So he, for whatever reason, wanted... I'm sorry, I apologize. Didn't reverse the switch, he reversed the controls. So the bridge pickup controls are up here. So this would be your master volume on the bridge pickup instead of your neck pickup. That's what I'm trying to say. So I had also mentioned, when I realized this thing had EMGs in it, I was really bummed out. I happened to have a set of Gibson pickups just sitting on my dresser. So I thought, you know what, I'll bring this thing in. I'll make it the way it was supposed to be. Bob's your uncle, we got it. And then I made the mistake of playing it with them in. And as a backstory, every few years I get it in my head that I should try something new. I tried Seymour Duncan Blackouts after I initially had tried EMGs years before that. Frank Felbo did a pretty good job of personally talking me into wanting to get some Fishman pickups, which I haven't done yet. But thank you for that, Frank. So what I found is that this guitar with the EMGs is so much better at things that I never thought I could do at all, that I kind of got to show you. So the best place to start here is with some clean stuff. So let's start there. And I'm going to play stuff that I play commonly on the channel, but dig it. So the electronic component of the active pickup balances out the impact that you're making on the strings with your pick. It just kind of levels things out a little bit, and it fills in some of the voids. I haven't played this guitar again in quite a bit, so I apologize if it's not quite what I'm meaning for it to be, but let's keep playing with this a little bit, all right? So far, I'm not out, right? So like if somebody asked me to play a gig where I knew the music is mostly going to be clean or blues or jazzy, you know, whatever, it's got the low end. It's got all the low end and the balance, and when you add on those like sevenths and those higher notes on the high E string, it really does kind of leap off the page, so to speak. And so I'm back to wondering if I like the actives. That's the point. Okay, so let's do some clean stuff, I guess, in a drop tuning, right? So we've been in standard thus far. So here's drop D. Let's hear the bridge position, same thing, just to hear it. I'm just enjoying hearing this guitar. I really sincerely am. One other thing I'm going to mention quick while I'm thinking about it, and that's how I do these things. I just literally say out loud whatever I'm thinking. Bet you didn't notice. Man, it's a fretwork rate on this. Man, you can just grab whatever you need to grab, and the intonation is just so dead on. There's no dodgy spots anywhere on the fingerboard. Big fan of all that stuff, don't you know? So I think we should move on to play some kind of heavier stuff, which I guess these active pickups kind of lend themselves to, right? So in fact, we can just jump into those same chords with distortion. It's a joy to play. I apologize, you know, that's kind of a modern thing. Let's do something a little more intricate, you know. The harder you play it, the better it sounds. It's my mistake for not warming up with this guitar. Bet you can't tell that either. But man, the harder you push it, the better it sounds. What a fucking Les Paul, man. These are real reactions from me. Like, I've spent precious little time with this guitar. I've gotten in a lot of other gear in the last several weeks, and I'm scared of this thing, man. I mean, it's worth a few bucks. And these matte finishes, I'm just positive that bad things could happen easily. So I kind of keep this thing locked up in its 700-pound sarcophagus. But Jesus Christ, dude, like, I reviewed an Edwards Les Paul made by the ESP company a couple weeks ago. And I read, and I did not mention this in the review, but a lot of people, if you dig back in the forums and the threads, like going back to the dawn of time, there are people that are like, you just can't seem to get a really mean, deep growl out of those Edwards guitars. This thing roars. This thing's got roar to it. The way that I record these videos, and I've never mentioned this before, it's a Shure 57, which you can probably see, as unprocessed as humanly possible. Okay, so like, I don't put any kind of compression, nothing to boost, nothing to clean up, no mixing, nothing in post. I'm trying to give you as raw a sound as possible, because what is the point of showing people what a guitar could theoretically sound like with a bunch of processing, right? Like, what does that really tell you at the end of the day? So considering that this is a totally unpolished sound and I haven't heard the playback, just hearing this thing in the room, it's dynamite. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this one just yet. I'm going to leave these EMGs just as they are. One other note about that. When I bought the guitar, I only noticed this the other day. For whatever reason, the guy that had this had the bridge pickup set so far from the strings, it was crazy. There was this huge discrepancy between the volume of the neck and bridge pickups. So I moved that sucker all the way up. I have a buddy of mine that's done some really big stuff for EMG, and he told me the secret is put these mothers as close to the strings as you can possibly get them, play with light gauge strings, and pick as lightly as possible. And that's how you'll get the heaviest fucking metal sounds you'll ever hear. Pickups close to the strings, pick softly. So I'm beating the shit out of this guitar like a ham-fisted blues guy, because that's what I am. But this is with the pickup very, very close to the strings. This is how it sounds like that. So as of right now, I'm going to leave it just like this. I hope you guys enjoyed getting a look at this guitar. If you have any questions about it, please feel free to let me know. keep coming back to the page. We're going to keep doing cool stuff. So thanks for making this all possible. And on your way out, make sure that you give some props to the Lone Rangers, because Adam Sandler and the boys need you.